welcome back to the channel. This week we are going to break down some myths surrounding gaslighting and abuse in general. It doesn't have to be in relationships. I'm going to keep it really short, snappy, to the point. Let's get to it.
Please fasten your seatbelts.
So just to explain the term gaslighting and what that means. So it comes from a film called Gaslit from 1944, where a husband intentionally drove his wife crazy by moving things around the house and basically telling her that it never happened and driving her crazy. So that's what gaslighting is. Having seen the term gaslighting and knowing from my own experience, I was able to tick off every single one. Okay, so that's a plus. But in regards to what some of these people are saying, just honestly, just makes me question whether I am still living in 2022 and have I time warped back to the 1950s. So the first myth that we are going to break down is that domestic violence is all about anger, so they need anger management. Okay, so first off, let's talk about this a little bit. So domestic violence, yes, does involve anger, but it also mostly is about power and control, and that is what they get off on. Anger management, oh, they would be so good at that, because they would be able to convince you, the sun, moon and the stars, that they have changed, all is well, and they are nice and calm. This brings me to my second myth. Nice people don't hit their partners. So again, these people are very manipulative. Some of them, most of them, are narcissists, and they will convince you, and especially your mother, that they are the most gorgeous, nicest people in the whole entire world, when at home they are beating the bejesus out of you. This brings me on to the third myth. Domestic violence is only about the hitting. No, it ain't. Because domestic violence comes down to emotional, physical and mental abuse. It's not just about the hitting. It might start off with emotional abuse. I know from my own personal experience, this person came into my life and I thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. I said it was the best thing since sliced bread. Convinced my mother, my family, that they were the nicest person in the whole entire world, and I truly did believe that too, until the emotional abuse started. I would have considered myself a very confident person. However, this person broke me down so much that, again, it made me question my own sanity, and they would convince others that I was such a liar that they were never to believe a word out of my mouth. They would watch everything that I did. They made sure that they monitored my phone calls. They looked where I was going. If we were out together in public, which didn't happen that often, they would constantly be looking at me, asking, what are you looking at? Do you find them attractive? What are you doing looking at them? The jealousy is horrendous. So it starts off with jealousy. You might think that's a bit cute, but slowly it gets darker and darker until a point where you're on the floor looking up at this person pounding down and you going, what the hell happened? This brings me on to the next myth, which is domestic violence only happens to certain people in certain areas. Makes me want to do a lot of that, because that is complete bullcrap. Domestic violence happens in palaces, to princesses, in villas, in mansions, in shacks, in sheds. In fact, it doesn't matter where it happens. It happens all over the world, in every area, and is not restricted to certain areas just because someone has had a certain kind of past or comes from a certain kind of family or location. Domestic violence can happen to anybody in any area, and it's about keeping those eyes wide open. I remember the day that I left. There's a big myth out there saying, and I only heard this on the radio during the week, there are two things that happened to me this week that I found astonishing. They were meant to be, and I was meant to talk about this. The first one on the radio was a woman spilling her guts, fair play to her, about her own experience around domestic violence. And a woman rang into the show and simply asked, and this is a massive myth, why don't you just leave? It's as easy as that. This was coming from one woman to another woman. Now, I would expect a lot more from women. I think we should really support and stand up for each other, not put each other down. I think we should all do with lifting each other up and having each other's shoulders to lean on. But no, this woman decided to attack the other woman and said, why don't you leave? Because it's that simple, is it? Because if you think about a cult and how the cults get brainwashed throughout years, and even them themselves find it difficult to leave. Think of a relationship in that way, where you are brainwashed to a point where you feel that you are so small, that you have shrunken to a size that you don't even recognize your own self when you look in the mirror. You have absolutely no self-esteem. You have absolutely no self-worth. You don't believe that you are worth anything. In fact, you believe this world would be better off without you. They monitor everything that you do. And you are imprisoned in a cage of your own mind. The gate is open, but you can't go because your head won't let you, because that brainwashing has occurred and you just can't get past that. So it's like there's no lock on the door, but you can't go because they have just instilled in you so much fear that you believe that you are better off staying. They take away your finances, they take away everything got to do with having the ability to leave. So you're left imprisoned. It might be an open prison, but it's still a prison. So it's not easy to leave, as a lot of people do think. It's very hard. But what I do want to stress here is there is so much support out there, so make sure and get the support that you need. Get onto whoever that you can to get into a women's hostel, a women's place, so that you get the support and the security that you need. The second thing that popped up for me this week that I was meant to talk about. I seen during the week this myth that we as a society have changed so much that we are no longer the way we used to be. Our views have changed. Men are different. We've all evolved. And I would love to think that as a spiritual person, that is my belief, that we are on the tipping point of transformation and evolution. I truly believe that. But when I speak about such things as rape, as I did yesterday, and being a rape victim, having a man say to me that I am a slut, and I'm not paraphrasing, says to me that we have not changed, we have not evolved. There's still a lot of educating to do. And listen, it's not just men, as I said, it's women as well. There's a lot of education that needs to be done. There's a lot of conversations that need to be had around these things, and bringing awareness to people, especially about gaslighting, about how we suffer within relationships, about how it starts, how they isolate you, how they lie to you, but yet they convince you that they're telling the truth. Your truth is a lie. Even though you say to yourself, this is the truth, you question yourself, you question your sanity. You no longer feel like you can contact friends and family because they have them convinced that you're absolutely insane. So this all correlates into all of these myths. And that is that we have not changed as a society. We may be on a verge of, but there is still a lot of talking, conversations and education to be done. And, you know, it pains my soul, unfortunately, that I received that comment yesterday and felt I had to put that man on blast, because if he thinks it's okay to leave comments like that on other people's videos, particularly around rape, calling a rape victim a slut, that really, really worries me and makes me want to think that you were one dangerous man. And I've had my fill of dangerous men, honey. So keep on walking. Keep on walking, because I don't want to know. I've had my fill of drama. I no longer want to spill the tea. All I want to do is chill, be at peace and relax, educate, speak my mind. And you know what? Once a rape victim finds her voice, she never shuts up. Have a great week.
Wow.
Don't forget your baggage.